Okay, guys, I'd like to just start with the basic interface of Fusion 360. Now, before I get started, the first thing I want to mention is that this is for absolute beginners. So if you're familiar with Fusion 360, you can skip this lesson. If you've never seen Fusion 360 in action and you've got no idea of the software and you've just maybe recently downloaded it, then this part of the course is absolutely essential for you. So let's get started. Now, I've just preloaded it so that we can, get a bit of speed on this because it can take a bit of time. So the first thing that you'll notice is when you open Fusion 360, you've got this open canvas type of view. Now, yours might be slightly different. You might have the layout grid sort of set up as a default. If you've recently downloaded Fusion 360, you might be in the community version or the free version or hobbyist, whatever version. Which has got some limitations versus the paid version that I've got, which is still fine. It still covers most of the things. I'm not entirely sure which of the menu items have been removed out of the free or unpaid version. So please do excuse me if I do refer to something and you can't find it on the free one. It would help also if you do find those little snippets and you can just notify me in some way. That would be very helpful, and I'd really appreciate that, so that I can just change or edit or just mention it in the video clips at a later stage. Now, Fusion 360 does change quite frequently, and they do updates all the time. So I often do a quick update, and then I'm faced with a couple of new menu items and a couple of new things that we can experiment with, and so on. So this episode is shot on the 2nd of March, 2021, and the latest update of Fusion 360 as of today is on this system. By the time you watch this, it could be an older video. Many items, icons, and things might look different, so please just keep that in mind. Okay, so now, the other thing that we've got to mention is that I've customized my Fusion 360 to suit whatever it is that I do. Now, your interface might be slightly different. I will show you how to customize it as well. But it's up to your personal preference. It's the same way to get to the same thing. You can use your grid. I don't usually switch on my grid. I like to work in an open, clean space like this. I'm behind this computer 18 hours a day working, setting up files for machines and things. So I like to keep things clean and simple and not too much visual noise personally, but you might feel differently. So let's get started. So as you open Fusion 360, you've got this beautiful workspace. And you'll notice on the left-hand side, you've got this, what Fusion calls the data panel. Now, if your data panel is not visible, it's only because of your screen size or something. And basically, this icon on the top left, you can show and hide your data panel. Now, if yours is invisible at the moment, that's all you have to do, access your data panel. Now, your data panel is basically your file organizer for Fusion 360. Now, if I go into my root folder, you'll notice that I have got tons and tons and tons of folders and files and things. I've done so many projects over the years, and those folders have subfolders and subfolders, and it goes in for days, okay? So basically the way it works, you create folder and then folder and folder and folder if you want to, and you end up with a model and a model name and all the little elements attached to that file that you work on. Now this could be 2 files and all hundreds of files in that specific folder. It depends on your workflow and how you do it. Basically, the data panel is your organizer, file organizer. Now, what's nice about Fusion 360 is that it's a cloud-based application. So if you're not familiar with cloud-based apps, basically I can design a model as we sit, and I can leave, I can go home, and then I can decide at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock tonight that I've got to tweak something. I can then open my laptop, access the files off my laptop with Fusion 360 installed on my laptop, do my work, save, and it'll save all my data back up to the cloud. Tomorrow morning I walk into my office, I switch on my workstation at work, and everything is there, updated. All my latest revisions and changes and tweaks and whatever that I made last night will be visible right there and then. So it's wonderful to have a cloud-based application. In the past, we didn't have that privilege. It was quite a tedious thing, but since Fusion launched this cloud-based little platform, it's helped my business quite a lot, significantly. Okay, so that covers the data panel. Now, in your main work area, the way that Fusion works, I think we can maybe just open a model just to give you a better idea of what it would look like once it's open. Okay, so here we've got our 3D model. We've got it open, and we're ready to work on this. Now, the way Fusion works is you've got multiple workspaces. Now, every workspace is related to what it is that you want to do specifically. So you'll notice over here with the workspace selector, we are now in the design workspace. What that means is I select the design workspace, and all my menu items will be design related menu items. Everything related to design. Surface modeling, sheet metal work, and all kinds of other tools and gadgets. Okay? If I change this to a rendering workspace, then that menu will change and the entire work area changes to accommodate my 3D rendering type of work area. So if I say render in canvas, then it will do a 3D visual. You'll notice that it keeps on running a few passes and iterations on this. And this works well if you want to present a design to a customer and they want to see a 3D of what it will look like by the time you're done. You know, some people cannot visualize or cannot work with simple 2D designs. They need a full 3D. It's also kind of cool. You can apply materials and set up the settings of the light settings and the room settings and so on. I'm not going to cover the 3D rendering in detail for the moment. I just want to show you the workspaces itself. On the manufacturing workspace, you've got all the menu items relating to manufacturing, turning machine parts, setting up your 2D, 3D parts for the CNC machine and that sort of thing. Everything CAM based. So this is your CAM interface, your manufacturing interface. So on StockFit, we use the design interface. We use the rendering interface occasionally. We don't use the animation and simulation interface. We don't really need those. Not for what we do, because we're not doing high-end engineering. We're doing furniture design and manufacturing. So in some cases, we're not developing anything in that depth, actually. This is more of an advanced feature on Fusion 360. So we skip animation and simulation, and we use a manufacturing tab, which obviously the CNC side of things, and we use the drawing workspace to publish drawings so we can get clients to sign off our ideas and sizes and so on. It's absolutely crucial. Without the drawing space, I think my business would be in a complete disarray at the moment, because I actually force my clients to sign off absolutely everything that I manufacture. So the drawing workspace works well for that. So basically, we will be jumping between the design, rendering, manufacturing, and drawing workspace using Fusion 360. Now, if you're on the free version, there might be a couple of differences on the workspace selection ability or capability. I'm not sure if generative design is available in the free or community edition of Fusion 360. Again, if something is not here, please keep in mind that I am on the paid subscription version, which kind of covers everything that you need. There are a few reasons why I've got it, which I'll explain in deeper detail on the download side, on the download lesson. So just to give you an idea, let's just jump back to the design workspace, as this is the most common workspace. You'll notice that we've got some menu items, and your menu items might look different. Now keep in mind, mine has been customized to suit my workflow and my needs. Yours might be slightly different. If you start up, you're going to have a very limited preset toolbar. But you'll have all your functions on the drop downs below. Now, what I've done is, as I work, I basically add the things that I use most commonly, and you basically click on the three dots on the side, and you can then select what it is that you want to add to the toolbar. You just click on those three dots, pin to toolbar, and you'll notice that it's now added to the toolbar. You can then simply just remove it by unclicking it. I've also downloaded a lot of additional third-party add-ons, plugins, little extra app snippets into my Fusion 360 as additional tools or supplement tools that you get from the Fusion or let's say the App Store, the Autodesk or Fusion 360 App Store. Now, you're welcome to go and shop around and see if you find anything. I'll also cover the specific plugins that I use for StockFit that you'll also have to consider But for the moment, just keep in mind that I have customized my menu. You're welcome to customize your menu as you like. And I've also installed a couple of apps, so you might not have those apps available just yet. Don't panic, we'll cover those at a later stage. So, workspace and the tools regarding to that workspace on the top. Then you'll notice on the left here we've got the browser section. Now this is the most understated section of Fusion 360 in my opinion. This is where a lot of work takes place. Now basically what this is, you've got your data panel, which is your master file folder type of thing. Now this would be a secondary sort of data panel of the model itself, of that data panel, which means that in this model itself, I've got a complete breakdown of each and every single component that I've added in here. Now I've got a whole bunch of components in this specific design, or let's say bodies in this specific design, which form part of my entire little coffee table model. If I hide the view, you can see the different panels. Now this could have been one solid model, and it could have been, you would have, under the body section, you would have had one single model here if it was a solid model. In my case, I've already split it up into panels, like I'm going to machine it. So I've got all these different panels. I've got all my different sketches, all my different planes or construction planes when I created this whole thing. And basically this whole thing fits together in a nice 3D kind of way. And it's already pretty much ready to be flat packed and machined, and I can manufacture this almost immediately. Now the top right hand corner, you will notice is 3D Cube. Now if you're not familiar with the 3D Cube, a lot of 3D software have this system. Basically it just allows you to select different areas of your application. Take a look at your model from the top if you wanted to. Click on the home. You can take a look at the bottom. Whatever it is that you want to do. So I use this view cube all the time. That is my go-to method to actually jump between. I don't know why. A lot of people do like panning manually and using the constraint orbit type of tool, and then click on things. And I know a lot of people like that. For some reason, my workflow has always been, I just simply click on the home icon, and I just like the way it works. It works very well. Occasionally, I might pan or do something, but it's very seldom. Now, as you notice, I clicked over here at the bottom. This is your entire scene customizer and tool selector, basically, to be able to navigate through the scene itself. On the display settings, you can change all the visual settings, wireframe settings. You get all these different visual styles and things. You can add or change your environment to a dark sky, whatever floats your boat. I like to keep my environmental style photo booth, which is a standard one. The mesh style, I don't really alter that. Effects, I don't really mess with that either. Object visibility, yeah, you can hide and unhide certain things that you don't want to be able to select. The camera is orthographic and perspective, and basically you'll notice that we're on orthographic at the moment. If you put it in perspective, you'll notice that the model itself changes slightly, which gives you a little bit more of a perspective look as you would see it in real life. Which is kind of nice to take a look at a model and before you manufacture, just to get an idea of what it is that this thing's going to look like. But while you're designing and working, it's always advisable to work on orthographic. The reason for that is, if I wanted to machine this front section, I can simply select it. I get a 2D sort of thing, and I can take a look at it. So that covers the basis of this. Now, the one shortcut key that I use all the time, and I want to instill it as quickly as possible, is the F6 key. Now, what that is, it basically, let's say you've got a whole bunch of models and you become slightly sort of lost in models over there. Instead of manually zooming like crazy to get the model, you simply hit F6 and it will center the entire model and off you go. Now, I use the F6 key a lot more than I should, I suppose, but now you know. Then the last thing on this specific thing is that at the bottom you'll notice this timeline with all these little model icons type of things all across. Basically what this is it's capturing your design timeline and all the steps that you've taken as you design. So if I extrude this up another 16 mil or whatever, use any of the design tools to do anything cool on this design, it will add a step and add a step and add a step and add a step on the timeline at the bottom. Now, this might sound like a weird concept, but the way Fusion 360 is put together with this timeline ability is just absolutely amazing. You could always, at any point, you could jump back to an extrusion point that was, or whatever history point that you created, and then you can right click on it and you can either delete it or you can edit that feature, and basically you can tweak and change and do whatever you want to change. So if you've designed something and you spent the last hour designing something and you realize, oops, I made a mistake 15 or 20 or 25 minutes ago, or whatever the case, you can always jump back in your timeline, go and fix it quickly, jump forward in your timeline, and off you go. So this is a wonderful thing. Now, you also have the option when you right click is to not capture your design history, which is it's kind of a way of flattening your entire design. What I usually do is, if I do a design like this that's got a couple of complex elements to it, then I would rasterize it, almost, if you're familiar with the Photoshop term, to not capture design history, because this obviously takes up data. It flattens the history basically, and then I just allow it to basically capture again as soon as that's done. And then it sort of resets, and it just makes the file a little less heavy, because as you can imagine, if you want to move something around here, it has to step and remember all these steps, and it tends to become a bit slow on smaller computers. Okay, so I think in a nutshell, that pretty much covers the interface itself. We've got our normal save as and drawing functions and things over here with a save icon, undo, redo, the height of the panel, and then on the top right, you've got your preference settings and your user interface type of things. You know, your personal profile. You can sign in and out. You can get your Autodesk account. You've got the help file, the notification center where you'll find your Autodesk Fusion 360 updates and things. This is basically, well, again, you'll notice that these icons might change over time and things might, look a little bit different. So we've covered the design, we've covered the render, we've covered the manufacturing tab, and the drawing tab is another section that is something that we use a lot. I just want to open the drawing quickly just to give you an idea of what a drawing workspace would look like. Again, it is a complete different menu item top. These are all your drawing related tools, your drawing browser. So the workspace changes according to what you're basically busy with at that specific moment. You'll notice at the bottom here, you don't have a timeline, but you can add quick pages to your sketch, and you can do different models, and you can set it up. And you'll notice that I've got this icon over here. Basically what that is that the drawing file on a model is linked to the actual model itself. So it keeps on referencing back to this. So if you make any changes in your master model file, then the drawing file will actually want to update. So all you have to do is just simply click on that icon, and it should update. And you see the link is you don't have that notification there anymore. So it's now updated, and now I've got a drawing. The drawing space allows you to obviously add a couple of dimensions and tweak it ever so slightly, do what you want to do. Anything that you want to do drawing related, comments, sizes, whatever, you can do it in the drawing space. So simple save button. That's the drawing space. You can output them to PDFs and present them to your clients. Now, I do know that the free version of Autodesk Fusion 360 doesn't allow you to customize your drawings the same way we've got here with our own logos and that sort of thing. I think you've got, you're limited with the templates or the amount of, there's some limitation. I'm not entirely sure what that limitation is. The same goes for the machining side. There are some limitations on the free version. We'll discuss those limitations and how they affect StockFit specifically, because obviously I cannot cover all the elements and all the different workspaces because we don't use them in StockFit. So we'll be covering the ones that we use mostly, so that we can get your system working the same way ours works, so that you can end up making furniture quickly. So yeah, that basically covers the Fusion 360 interface. I hope it helped. Let's carry on and I'll meet you guys in the next lesson.